To you by Rodler Pest and Lawn Solutions.
I just had a chance to go through all of the MoDOT cameras, and there is a stall I wanted to tell you about in the Maryland Heights area on Page. This is 270 at Page. No issues here, but go ahead and check out the map I just made. That is where the stall is on 364, so just be aware of that as you make your way to 270. You know I've been working with my police sources all morning. I just got off the phone with officers and some truly heartbreaking details to report. 2 women were gunned down, both of them very young, only in their 20s. So based on that information, you can only imagine the families that they are leaving behind this morning. I have breaking news this morning, and I can absolutely tell you that Andre Anderson from Glendale, Arizona is the new interim police chief. Why can I tell you that? Because guys, I just met him inside this department. Go ahead and check out the video that we just got back into KMOV. You can see me talking to Commander Anderson. He says he got in town 2 days ago and he officially found out that he got this job yesterday.
Can't buy any more happiness than this right here.
This is what happiness looks like.
It really is special.
I beg to differ.
Kent disagrees. We all have our opinions.
Right. This is happiness.
Yes.
I'd like to try it just once, though.
I
just,
know.
You know,
I know.
just to give it a shot.
Come on,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad.
If we can't have a lot of money, we can have the fact that it's Friday.
Yeah.
There you go.
We can all agree on
TGIF,
that,
right?
right?
Exactly.
So far, traffic's looking good with one exception on the east side.
Yes,
Yeah.
in Madison County. We will talk a little bit about that after you tell us about the Friday forecast.
All right. Well, the Friday forecast looks pretty good. As we head into the weekend, things will change a little bit. But
You know I cover crime all over the St. Louis area. I'll tell you, this is only the second time I've ever covered anything on Ruskin. The first was yesterday morning, and within the last 10 minutes I had a chance to speak with an officer here. He tells me that one of the victims in that triple shooting last night is cooperating with police, and that victim told police that 4 men in a black Dodge Charger pulled up last night on Ruskin and opened fire on those 3 victims, and judging by our News 4 video, I can tell you they fired a lot. We saw close to 30 evidence markers. Those typically mean shell casings that are found out at the scene.
Looking at traffic, tracking in accidents on 70 in Highland?
Yeah, unfortunately, Andre, it's very early in the morning, but we understand that a tractor trailer has actually overturned on Interstate 70 westbound in the Highland area right in Madison County. Our Steve Gurley is on the way. He is in the Chevy Storm Mode Silverado. It looks like he's stopped right now, though. I just had a chance to talk to him. He said he was about 5 miles out. We're making calls to Illinois State Police, also Highland Police, to see if there are any injuries. But just a heads up, 70 westbound in Madison County is shut down right now. The next live look we are going to give you is Interstate 270 right at West Florissant. Man, there's been so much construction in that area, and you sure see it right in here. However, I just checked in the speeds. It looks like everything is doing okay in North St. Louis County. We are going to continue making calls on that big accident. I'll have more for you coming up in 10 minutes.
We'll receive calls from people dealing with mental health crises.
The main goal of the responding officers is to de-escalate the situation before it would become something that you would hear about here on News 4. Our Laura Hettiger has been following the efforts of the county's crisis intervention team for months. She's live in Clayton this morning with the Bomberito Street Fleet and more details. Laura.
And Emily, this topic is almost foreign on the news. We just really don't talk about it too much. And police here tell me that people in their daily lives really don't talk about mental health or mental illness. There's still such a stigma surrounding it that it's not until maybe a family member is having a mental health crisis that a concerned family member gets out their phone, calls 911. Then, of course, police respond. County police tell me, though, their counterparts in the criminal justice system have become the default for the mentally ill, and officers admit that is not the way it should be handled. Get this, officers with this department respond to 70 of these calls every single week, and officers here really pride themselves on being able to de-escalate the situations. They learn how to do that in training sessions similar to what you are seeing here. In fact, there are 2 full-time officers with this department dedicated to what they call the Crisis Intervention Team. And now this program pairs police with counselors to help some desperate callers.
Whether it be their family members called the police or they called the police themselves, our goal is to really check up on them and make sure that they're doing okay. And again, making sure that they are connected with long-term care to avoid them having to have future contact with law enforcement and also getting on the road to recovery.
you are sitting at home and this story resonates with you, maybe you have a friend or a family member that you are concerned about, you don't just have to call 911 when something happens. There is a 24-hour hotline that you can call. It is called BHR, that stands for Behavioral Health Resource. The number is on your screen, 314-469-6644. I'll put all that information on our website, kmovie.com. Reporting live from County Police Headquarters, Laura Hettiger, News 4.
Great reporting, Laura.
We do, certainly do. Making headlines this morning, the search is over for an interim police chief in Ferguson. Just a short time ago, city leaders announced who will be temporarily taking over the department there. We go live to News 4's Laura Hettiger. She's been at the Ferguson Community Center this morning. Laura.
Hey, good morning to you, Claire. Yes, the new person that will lead this department forward is Andre Anderson. And just about an hour ago, he was standing right here behind this mic, really introducing himself to the community and the world in this now international story. So let's go ahead and get you to some video of what that news conference looked like. You will see the new interim police chief, Andre Anderson. He is in the white shirt, the police shirt, also Mayor James Knowles, the new city manager, and the 3 new council members that were elected in April. All of them were together today. Now, for those of you not familiar with Andre Anderson, he is from Glendale, Arizona, and has 24 years of experience in law enforcement. He started out the news conference saying that he was very happy to be here, but he's also set some very lofty goals. And guys, he's only going to be here as of now for 6 months. Some of his goals include what he says, asking for the community's help. He wants people living in Ferguson to come to him, to tell him what he can do to help move this community forward. He also places an emphasis on attracting and hiring new people the community deserves. And finally, he said he wants to prove that peace prevails. But going back to that second goal, attracting and hiring new people, a journalist did have a chance to ask the mayor why or how much of an emphasis was it that race played into this hiring. The mayor, James Knowles, says that Andre Anderson is the best candidate possible, but for some people, it's probably going to be a bonus that he is African American. Now, I actually had a chance to meet him around 6:20 this morning. I ran up to him when he was at the Ferguson Police Department. I can tell you he was very gracious. He was very kind. He seemed very genuinely excited to be here. And he said, you know what he's really looking forward to here in St. Louis? The weather. Let's see what he thinks about that come December or January.
Hey, really quick, why is he only interim, number one? And I also saw a tweet from County Chief Tim Fitch this morning regarding his certification or licensing as a police officer in the state of Missouri.
Yeah, great questions, Kent. First off, he's only interim for 6 months because they want to make sure that they have the right person for this job. And Mayor James Knowles says, guys, we had to get someone in here. After all, think about it. So much of the city staff has been let go, has been resigned over the last few months. They wanted to have someone in here. I asked the mayor, is there a reason that you wanted to have someone in place before August 9th, which marks 1 year since Mike Brown died? He said, no, that's kind of a circumstance. But speaking about former County Police Chief Tim Fitch, right before this news conference, I called Tim Fitch to say, hey, I saw your tweets this morning asking about him being a certified or a licensed police officer here in Missouri. So I asked the new chief that question. He is not licensed. However, because of his administrative status that he brings with him from Arizona, he says he is able to lead police officers forward. Here's the kicker, though. He will not be able to write traffic tickets. Police Chief Tim Fitch told me that he would have to go through several steps, something that takes about 2 months to get through all of, I guess, the red tape to get to that point. But also, Andre Anderson said, you know what? I don't want to write traffic tickets right now. I really want to work with this department and work to bring the community back together.
All right, Laura Hettiger, always going after the answers. She never holds back. Great information, Laura. Thank you so much for all of that.
Well, there is a new man in charge of the Ferguson Police Department, and already there are some big questions.
We are learning he is not a fully licensed police officer here in Missouri. News 4's Laura Hettiger was the first reporter to meet interim chief Andre Anderson this morning. She reports from Ferguson.
I met the new interim police chief here at the Ferguson Police Department early this morning. Then just a couple hours later during his news conference, I asked him how not being a licensed police officer in Missouri might impact his work here in Ferguson.
I won't be able to go out and write tickets and things of that nature. That requires a little bit more. But I don't plan to do that because my emphasis will be on leading the police officers.
And with 24 years of law enforcement experience in Glendale, Arizona, these Ferguson city leaders say they found the best candidate in Andre Anderson, but just for 6 months. The interim city manager, Ed Beasley, is also from Glendale, Arizona.
I'd like to introduce Mr. Anderson.
Beasley tells me that Anderson contacted him about the Ferguson position. Despite the short tenure for now, Anderson has some lofty goals. The interim chief says his first call of duty is to adhere to recommendations from the Presidential Task Force and the Department of Justice. Those guidelines, he says, will serve as a template moving forward. Then he says it's all about working with the community.
We want to place an emphasis on attracting, hiring qualified applicants that can exemplify character, respect, cultural awareness, and the professionalism this community deserves.
The interim chief says his final goal is to prove to everyone that peace prevails. We'll just have to wait and see if that happens in the next 6 months. Reporting from the Ferguson Police Department, Laura Hettiger, News 4.